All right. What's going on?
Well, life and life in the semi-fast lane, if not the fast lane. I'm really glad to see you. Uh, just I don't know. We're at the best time of year, or one of the few, several best times of year. This is the one. This is the time where uh, what I love is the spirit of the season is that people are good to each other
Hmm.
and they're gracious with each other and they're well mannered with each other and they are generous with each other and it just does all of that that brings out the ho of the whole deal,
I
like
love
that. So yeah, so what's going on with me is down here in beautiful Ajijic, Mexico, where it's 72 degrees and it doesn't feel like Christmas, but then I see you and you're all dazzling and lit up and turned on and got your great Christmas shirt on. Ta-da!
it. Rob and Jenna, big shout out. So yeah, I think Jenna actually drew this. It's a Bronco with a Christmas tree. And
Yeah, well, it's perfect for you. You're kind of a Bronco kind of gal.
yeah, it's definitely I like the old school, but like new school part that the Broncos are bringing. So
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Well, it's funny because I've been doing a lot of cowboy up,
oh yeah.
and in the cowboy up, I've been looking at a lot of kind of conversations between old cowboys, you
Yeah.
know, and they're kind of like OG cowboys,
I love it. I love it.
you know, like that. So we're hearing the whole thing, and in the cowboy up, the progression has something about wake up, step up, shut up, cowboy up, all of that.
All in,
And,
baby.
and I was listening to this guy on a panel discussion.
Mhm.
One of the cowboys on it he's 90 years old. His name is Boots Daniels. And then and another guy who's about 85 years old named Tom Morehouse. And Tom was telling the story about when he was a young kid
Mhm.
and he was just beginning to cowboy, and that's all he ever wanted to do in his life. And he made a mistake in judgment, and he ended up costing, the cowboys that they were working with a lot of hassle and problem. Thought he was going to get fired,
Yeah.
and he said his boss came over to him and he said, "Look," he said, "here's the rules: wake up, step up, shut up."
Cowboy up, baby.
Cowboy up.
I love it. And I can't wait to read all the stuff you're putting together on that. More to come one day when we kind of break
Well,
that down.
yeah, I'm going to put you together with the guy who's writing it with me. I think you're going to love him because you got a book in you, and we're going to get your book out there too.
You know it. So I'm super excited. Okay. I want to go straight into this because number one, we're getting great feedback, direct
Uh-huh.
and indirectly. I have some people texting me and they really love the authenticity of us really having our one-on-ones and
Yes.
opening the doors for others to just reflect a little bit and or learn something new. It's really kind of hit a wide array of different things for different people, and that's what we were aspiring for this to be anyway. So
Exactly.
we are right where we need to be, and I want to notch it up a little bit.
Okay, I'm for that.
Well, we talked
Remember,
about
do you remember who
yeah,
was that guy that was the Cajun chef? He used to go, bam,
isn't that Emerald Agassi?
Emerald.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
bam, notch it
Yeah,
up.
so honestly, I think we're at a point where everyone kind of gets what we're doing, where we're going, and now we really want to get more granular, dig in, lean in, all in, have some fun, diversity, of thought, and let's go for it. All right.
I think that's perfect. And when we finished the call last week and I was looking at it again, I thought, you know what? That's exactly what it is. So I'm glad you said it because if you didn't say it, I was going to say it.
Yeah.
Off and running here.
It's as ever. I'm just always in absolute amazement and joy to be around you. So I think people need their sponsors, their coaches, their mentors, their peers, their friends. They need to have this. They need
Yep.
to have the radical candor. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't agree. Sometimes we want to notch it up. Sometimes we want to dial it back and drill in. That's fine, right? There is no one size fits all into your relationships and how you manage them, but make them fruitful and intentional. That's what we're driving here. right? So we're picking these topics and we're going in on them. And I'm pretty pumped for this one on human behavior.
Well, I love that. And just to just take 1 second to underline what you just said, because I had to write it down, was the phrase radical candor. That's genius.
Yeah, there's a book in my corporate capacity. We read about that, and it's having the thoughtful debate, but not being afraid or shying away from having radical candor. Because a lot of
Yes.
times, what happens is we think it, but we don't speak it out for whatever reason, which ties into the human behavior side of the game. But
Right.
you have the courage, right? When you
Right.
have the wherewithal, the self-awareness of what you bring to a table, you can be radically candor. And you shouldn't be, upset about that you have that to bring, you know? So
Well, you're right on. In fact, the kind of thematically, when you take a look at the golden mean with the word courage, which you mentioned, courage being different from bravery, courage being the root word being coeur, which means heart in French. But the in between as a practiced virtue of courage, which is too little courage, cowardice, too much courage, recklessness. So we're trying to find and run it right down the middle in the courageous way.
yeah, and it's okay to flex, right? You're gonna have some times where you might near more towards reckless, and
Are
then
you kidding?
and sometimes not, right?
If this is a road, I'm pretty much in the ditch on that side most of the time.
Well, it's because you live on the edge. It's not a bad thing. It's actually one of your best traits. So, yeah, I'd really like to drill down. And I know you've done a lot of work on this. So
Uh-huh.
today, I'm definitely going to be a student as well as a participant with you as ever. But when you hear the word human behavior, or an organization brings you in, or you're assessing a group of people, a tribe, right? What
Yeah.
what do you define human behavior, and how have you seen it play out in kind of like your experience?
That is a really great question. I was just thinking about this literally in the last hour in a conversation I was having, because I was talking to a guy
Mhm.
who wants me to talk with somebody from human resources.
Okay.
And I went, oh, human resources. And I said, yeah, it's supposedly all about human behavior, but human resources is basically a way that a company or an organization uses to protect their ass. So I'll keep the paper on you, and you. So if you have a problem with me, you could bring it up, but you'll talk to our legal department and stuff like that. So it's a way they protect themselves,
Yeah.
and then uh, then they get people in there to kind of like protect them as well. So it's different from human resources at the organizational level, but human behavior uh, in an organization comes out in two ways. At least two ways, maybe more, but two that I've really noticed that make a big difference.
Mhm.
And both of those that come out, they come out in elevating stages. In other words, as you move from stage 1, 2, 3, 4 to stage 5,
Mhm.
your productivity goes up, your effectiveness goes up, your ability to impact and influence people arises and goes up.
Mhm.
So it's an important thing to do. So in the language side, when you take a look at stage one is at a level that I call undermining. So in every organization, there are people, it's about 3% of the people that are undermining. And maybe as much as 5, but usually somewhere around 2-3%. They get weeded out as they go.
Mhm.
They have an experience in life personally of being alienated. Let me just get this sorted out here. Of being alienated. And if you took all of their language, everything that they say, everything that they whine about, everything they complain about, everything they're concerned with,
Mhm.
and you threw a net over all of it and you said, what are they really saying? What they're saying is life sucks. So this is a life sucks kind of conversation, which is way different than you when you were 16 years old and you turned to your parents and they wouldn't let you have the keys to the car and you went, life sucks.
Yeah,
You know,
different.
that no, not that. This is a dedicated kind of conversation. Stage two, which is a big step up from that, is you and me on a bad day. So we're working hard, we're spinning our wheels, we're not getting anywhere with it. We're really working at what we're trying to do. We don't feel alienated, but we're separate from people. And this is the key at stage two.
Mm-hmm.
When human beings are separate from one another, they are ineffective. So that's what that stage is called. So stage one is undermining. This is ineffective. This is you and me on a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where we throw a net over everything that we say.
Mm-hmm.
And it isn't life sucks, it's my life sucks. I can see that your life is great. I can see that your life is working because you've got, and you fill in the X, fill in the blank, but it's really connections. And so you're doing well. So that's that. Stage three is connected to stage two. They are related, and they're related intimately. They need each other really, because stage three is useful. Stage three is the person who kind of wins the trophies. Stage three is the person that in a zero-sum conversation of winners and losers, they're the winners and stage two is the loser.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a feeling of, rather than life sucks or my life sucks, they've actually elevated to a thing called I'm great and you're not.
I know exactly the type.
It's the heart and soul of competitive, of what competition devolves to.
Yeah.
When you don't understand that the person you're competing with is actually your partner and there to make you greater. So it's all about being better. So you're the winner, they're the loser. At stage two, there's a whole kind of I'm betrayed or I'm betrayed about to happen. At stage three, I'm great, you're not. I have the stats to prove it, and I'm going to lay them on you right now, whether you ask or not. And whereas stage one is alienated, stage two is separate from, stage three only has one interest, and that is in personal domination. It is all about me, 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 me.
Yep.
Like that. Now, if you look at it statistically, over an organization, how they fall out, it is stunning because it doesn't matter where you go in the world. Stage one, about 3%. Stage two, about 22% or so. Stage three, close to 50%, 47, 48, 49%. When you total all of that up, 75% of every organization is in stage one, two, or three. And the vast majority of them are toggling between stage two and three. They're having a bad day or a good day or a bad day. And it depends on who they surround themselves with. And they find each other in the halls around the water cooler.
Mm-hmm.
It starts on Monday when I go, how was your weekend? And you tell me how your weekend was. And it doesn't matter how great your weekend was. Mine was better. I'm great. You're not. I have the stats to prove it.
Yep.
I mean, how ridiculous it gets to is, well, I was with my family, I was doing a day, it all sounds really good, and you're exactly the person I'm looking for. So ask me how my weekend was, and I go, well, my brother, the Pope, called me up and sent over the papal jet, and I was able to bring my girlfriend, Angelina Jolie, and we went over and we were blessed by the Pope, and he gave us a Lamborghini. That's it. So
I know
and it's all about, I don't care how good you are, I'm better, personal domination. Hello, hello, hello.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how it sets the tone of how people work in organizations. Now, interestingly enough, about 20% of the people don't do that. And they are the 20% of the people that are producing probably 3 to 5 times as effectively as the people who are doing stages 2 and 3. So the people that are doing zero-sum game, winner, loser, I'm great, you're not, or you're about to betray me, they are doing something that if we put it into language and through the language over it, it's literally an honest, authentic, we are great together.
Right.
It's an appreciation, an acknowledgement that when you're working with people, that they have skills, you have skills, all God's children got skills. Let's get you into the position. And this is where leadership arises. So your power comes because you have the capability. And so instead of being alienated, separate from, or personal domination, what we're working on is we're working on something called stable partnership. We're willing to do that. And your job is to build stable, effective partnership with the people around you. And there's a way to do it. There's a whole technology around it. Because what happens is these are the people who get offered the opportunity to do stage 5 projects, which make history. So we are great together, and working that way and being authentic in that conversation, building stable partnerships, then as you get to vital kind of projects that change history, where the way that the people talk is, wow, life is great.
Yep.
And
Yep.
you're going, you know, and this is where team shows up. Team doesn't show up earlier than that. It shows up at stage 5.
Yeah, so let me jump in here on a couple of things. So I conceptually, I view it similarly, but a little different too, because what I have found is team players, sometimes they realize, and they 80-20 their teams, right? So who does
Yep.
80% of the work? 20% of the population, right? And they have
Yep.
this mentality of it, right? Which goes towards your level 4, right? Concept.
Yep.
And then obviously you may have some level 3 because they care about their individual greatness. So they'll try to do great work, but it's really for them, not for the team. But, you know, one of the things that is important for us to kind of hit on here is when others feel that they are part of the 20% doing 80% of the work, and they're not paid like their value, and they're not, right, and they're bogged down and everything. Can you talk about how that plays into it? Where would you ever have a level 4, someone who is definitely team oriented and has the ability to be more visionary, longer term viewing? Could they result back to a level 3 because they're so focused on the wrong things?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, they don't vote. So there's a couple of things about this. That 80-20, actually, it would be a blessing from God if it was 80-20, really.
Yeah, I
It's
do.
called the Pareto effect, and the way that it comes out is it is 1/2 of the square root of the people involved.
Yeah.
So if you've got 100 people involved, square root is 10. 5 people are doing all the work.
Yeah.
Doing all the work. Now, the question that you posed about, do they fall back to stage 3? No, they fall back to stage 2. They fall back to my life sucks.
There you go.
Because you know what? They've been in heaven. They've been in a place where it's fluid, where flow is occurring, where people are working well together. There's collaboration, there's partnership. We're moving along and everything. And then all of a sudden, something comes in, throws a monkey wrench into the whole thing. They're stymied. And if they don't have a way around it, and that's the workaround is their partners who are taking care of them. If they don't have that going on, they fall back to stage 2, where their life sucks and they've got to work their way out of it again. The workaround, how you get into stage 4 and how you stabilize yourself at stage 4, is you do it in triplicates. You do it in what I call triads. So for example, there's you and me and this great idea that we have. So that's 3 elements in our relationship. It's not just Sammy and John, it's Sammy and John and the mutually held, mutually respected, great idea. Now, here's the deal. If you imagine a triangle, so it has 3 vertices. So the vertex, here's the rule of the triangle. The vertex is accountable for the success of the opposite leg. So I am accountable for the success of the opposite leg, which is Sammy and the great idea. Sammy is accountable for John and the great idea being successful. And the great idea is what keeps us straight. That's what keeps us there. So if you form triads, that's a stable structure. It's the first and simplest stable geometric structure. If we form triads, either 3 people or 2 people and a great idea, and we spend our time linking up in terms of that, where vertex is accountable for the success of the opposite leg, we can maintain and stabilize it, because everybody has bad days.
Yeah, of course.
Everybody goes, down. So the other 2 elements are responsible. And here's the rule. It takes more than one mind to move a mind.
Understood.
So it takes a couple of people kind of like wake up, step up, shut up, get going, cowboy up here.
Yeah, and that's where sponsors and mentors and coaches help you, right? So,
Exactly.
you don't need them all the time. Sometimes you do it, but don't ever let it be a crutch. Let it be a support mechanism for you to get back in shape, right?
Exactly.
We have to train our mind. Our mind does not train us, right? So when our mind wins and takes us from a highly functioning, fluid, flowing, all the cylinders going towards a woo is me, one bad thing, well, it normally happens in 3s, so I'm going to get 2 other bad things. So your mentality is taking over negatively.
Right.
Those are the people, that small circle. You shouldn't have 100 sponsors. If you're lucky to have that, kudos to you. But focusing,
not the way it works.
Yeah, focusing intentionally on your relationships is super important. So for me, I'm going to hit some of the tools I use based off of what you just said, John, right?
Okay, please.
So, and I learned this from Dr. Robbins in his What If book, and he came and spoke to our organization, and he challenged the way I thought of moving the boat or the Bronco, right, with the team on it.
Okay, good.
And I get so passionate, right? And with my passion, it also can overwhelm some people that may not be as vocal. I am actually an introvert extrovert, but others view me as this outgoing, super all in. So to provide the environment and the seat at the table for other people, right, to check balance myself, to make sure that they're part of that conversation and my passion isn't fueling the whole room. I always break it down into 3 things, which he taught us, right? What journey did I walk? Or sorry, let me write. What journey did you walk? Put you with I. What journey did you walk? What journey did I walk? And why am I right? And it makes me think about what's on the table. What are we really after? What's the vision? And I feel like it goes to the triad that you just talked about.
I'm writing it down because I haven't heard this before, but it really is a fit. What journey did you walk? What journey am I walking? And then why am I right? Wow. That is that beyond a triad. That is a powerful inquiry. Really good. Keep going.
Yeah. So for me, there were times where I definitely was, early career level 3, because I wanted my name to be out there. I could control my controllable, which was me, and I could be ambitious. I knew how to be a winner. I was a captain on my team, right? But what I started to learn is real leadership is empowering others. Be better than you. Right? And once I started to realize the concept of just because I can doesn't mean I should.
Exactly.
Right? Coupled with what journey did you walk? What journey did I walk? Why am I right? What I started to realize is I was failing faster because we would make decisions as a group. And then, we would literally stop the idea if it didn't hit certain criteria, and we stay disciplined to it. And that's where I come in, because I'm real strong with keeping to the plan, right? Discipline.
Right.
Not being afraid to challenge it, right? So that's one of the interesting things. So when you talk about the triad, you know, it makes me reflect on how when I was like in corporate, those were the tools that I started to implement on the daily for simple things too. It didn't have to just be a project. Conversations, everything.
You know, it gets us down to as it, I'll tell you where it occurs. It doesn't matter what business you're in. It doesn't matter what activity you're joining into or participating in. Before you do whatever you do, you play football, or you're a CEO of a business, or you're a manager, or you're running like a tree farm. You know, all of that sort of stuff doesn't matter. You are in the relationship business first, and then you're in the business you think you're in. And so it's about creating stable, effective relationships. And of course, that's the heart and soul
Of course.
of what stage 4 is all about.
Yeah. And what I also started to realize, and I put this in my book, right? And I'm so looking forward to actually putting a lot of data as I travel and learn from the greats and for those that are currently in athletics and CEOs and whatnot. It's the
Right.
concept of reactivity and response. And the way I define reactivity and response, right? So the reactivity is like, what do you like in your inner being feel? Right?
Right.
With any situation, with anything in front of you. And then the response is the external aspect, how others can see it.
Okay, good.
And I kind of put it on a quad. And there's times where I toggle between the different quads, where sometimes I have a real high, reactivity, but it warrants a fast response, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
sometimes you may be offended by something someone said, but their intention was not to do that. But to level set, you need to manage your response.
You know, that's really, really great, Sammy. You know, today is Thursday, and an inquiry that I use for every single day of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Thursday is about the question that I'm in. So the question that I'm in with you every Thursday is, what are we building together? What are we building? Now, that's a stage 4 question.
Mm-hmm.
And it really has to do with exactly that, having an appreciation for you, the capabilities that you bring, the talent, the power, the interest, and the energy that you bring to what we've got, which is different than what I have.
Mm-hmm.
And not being an idiot about we have to agree on everything, but really understanding the power of listening for what I can be aligned with that you're talking about and getting aligned. Our power, if we can fuse it together, is in the realm of alignment, not agreement.
Agree.
And forcing ourselves, you know, forcing agreement in relationship is a well, that's the short path. That's the short, rocky road to divorce.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So yeah, getting aligned on, and I'm only listening from the point of view that I think you're listening from, which is, what are we building together today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's interesting. So I wrote down a couple of things. This is like one of my favorite things: human behavior, understanding how people want to be treated, not my perspective of how I think they want to be treated.
Very
Right?
good, very
That
good.
kind of stuff. But it's not what happens to us, but our response to what happens to us that hurts us.
Uh-huh. It's not what happens to us, but it's how we respond
But our
to
response
what's happening to us
to us that hurts us.
that hurts us. Uh-huh. Good, good,
Right.
good.
So it's, one of the biggest things, like with athletes in particular, one of my biggest pieces of advice is ego has no place here. Let's go below
Uh,
the surface. Let's
right.
figure out what really makes you tick and what are your unconscious biases, right? What are my unconscious biases? And the way to get there is to actually spend time to think about it. They're unconscious, you know? And sometimes what I have found with some athletes is they don't even realize, because they've compartmentalized in such a way that it's game time all the time. Emotional response is a weakness. I have to be a man, I have to be a super strong woman. And what happens is everything boils over, right? So,
Right.
I have this interesting passion for helping to be able to compartmentalize, right? I'm never going to get rid of that for people. That's going to happen. That's an athlete thing because they've got to put things to the back to be able to perform at the front at the highest level sometimes. Like
Right.
if someone's child died or their father passed away, how can they still run for 6 touchdowns in a game?
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You're never going to take that beast out of the beast mode. Okay. That's going to happen. But then how do we do the reflective work after the game when the adrenaline starts going down?
Yep.
Right.
How do you temper it? It's a question of prudence. How do you actually choose to temper what you're doing? So, because coming out of athletics, generally speaking, people who are high performers, they perform on the courageous to reckless side
Oh, yeah.
of the equation. When they go into the corporate environment, what they found is people who've been tamed and they are on the courageous to cowardice side.
Oh, yeah.
And often the policies and the dogma of the organizations they go into, which is this is like a different language. It's like Japanese or something for a person who's courageous to reckless to go in and just to notice, what a wussy kind of conversation legal is, HR is, and how it really suppresses my energy and my spirit, and people find themselves unhappy in the environment rather than finding an authentic, powerful way to express their courageous way of being that had them be successful as an athlete, but doing it in a corporate environment without upsetting the vaccination rules, whatever the thing is.
Yeah. Radical candor, right? And that's why I always talk about being extremely candid and the fact that we have to perform in game. We don't get the luxury to have the day off if we're not feeling good during game day, right?
No.
And the biggest thing that I find, which was my superpower beyond just genuinely caring about authentically connecting with people and understanding their foreground and their background, right?
Yes.
They are
Yes.
more than just at the workplace, because if you break down the amount of hours that you spend together versus not, it really is your family away from your family, whether you want.
It really is. It's your family by design if you're smart.
Yeah.
If you're either, people either go into it and it's their family that they're the victim of, which is probably what they're doing with their real family anyway, or you're saying, this is my family by design. I'm actually going to make this work. And good athletes do that. They take what they've got and they have the discipline to make it work.
Yeah. And I've had unbelievable conversations with C-suite executives. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why I hate using the word like me, but they wanted me at the table is a better way to say it. Okay?
Yeah.
The reason they wanted me at the table is a lot of times on any interviews or conversations with customers, executives that I would have, I would come, right? And I didn't tell people what they wanted to hear. I was very respectful and poised in how I delivered impact, but I am here to make us both better.
Right.
To make us both better, I am going to be firm, but I'm going to be fair.
Right.
And I'm going to come to the table and you can either take that or you don't, and that's okay. So I know a couple of people who would call me and they say, hey, I'm interviewing, right? And it's an athlete, a former athlete. I'm interviewing with like this real tall position. My resume has none of this experience. I'm like, okay, we'll get that out of your mind because that's just something that someone puts on a paper, which legally they have to do.
It just gets you in the door. That's all it does.
So I said, you're going to have a phone interview with the CEO, right? What a unique opportunity you have to come with your perspective and a diversity of thought. Don't tell them and just agree. Don't just say, yes, John, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Your principles are spot on. Everything's great. Because he's not hiring you, or she is not hiring you, right, to tell you what they want to hear. They may ego-wise want it, but it's because they don't have a capability or skill set that can solve it.
Well, and in addition to that, because that's a completely accurate. And oh, by the way, if what they want to hear is something that is going to be uh, kind of massaging their ego and everything, that's not a person you want to work for.
Yeah, you're right.
You're not going to grow. You're not going to develop. You're always going to be stage 2 to their stage 3,
Yeah.
and you set it up.
Yeah. And I think we're seeing a lot of that, right? With when COVID hit and it forced kind of a hybrid environment. And there's some old school CEOs that like just believe being in the office, the collaborative environment, and it's they're being challenged, right? And
Yep.
sometimes the way I would think about it was, is it because they don't have as much control? Right. And
Oh, do you think?
yeah, so it's and, and they hide it in this word of collaboration.
Yep.
I believe you need
Yep.
to be across the table from time to time. I do 150% believe that.
Well, when you asked me earlier what the deal was, and I said there's two things. I said one is the language, and we did my life sucks, I'm great, you're not,
Mm-hmm.
we're great together. We did that conversation. But there's a question that actually creates the segue to the second part, which is the second part is the question that leads to it is, do people lie? So do people lie? you know,
Yeah.
and when people go, yeah, and you say, well, how often? They say, well, sometimes or a lot. No, they lie all the time. You know, and how you actually know. So if you were a manager, if you were a player, if you were a person who is kind of trying to put a team together, you're trying to build something, as Thursday is about, what are we building together?
Mm-hmm.
You have to know when people's actions and language are correlate to their structures. How do they connect with other people? Are they disconnected from other people? Are they in a hierarchical position to other people? Or are they actually working in a correlate, partnering, teaming kind of way?
I like that.
Because if they're not, and they say, so everybody is saying the cheap thing they're saying is, well, I'm a win-win, and even worse, more disgusting kind of thing that people say is win-win-win. I have no idea what they're saying. No idea. But when you look at them, I'm win-win as long as I'm the bigger winner and you're the little kind of, you're my little bitch,
Yeah.
and I get to kind of run you like that. No, win-win really means that that we have a relationship of dignity and respect, and we honor what you're bringing.
Yeah. And this was someone had recommended to look at how Netflix had, there's a book out on Netflix culture and how they had a lot of people stunned because you had an entry level position talking to a CEO saying, I don't agree with that concept. I actually think it's ludicrous or whatnot, and then they would coach them on bring solutions. Don't just say something's not good, but bring solutions.
Right.
But I don't care if you're day one in a role and new in Netflix or you're there for 15 years. You have the authority and right.
Well, this is inside of one of your pillars, Sammy, the one about go pro in life.
Yep.
And what it is show up day one as a leader.
Yeah.
Show up day one as a leader.
Yep. And
people are going to be telling you what to do, but you really need to be doing the practices that, and it is, and you pointed to it a little while ago when you said, you didn't say it this way, but it's an inside out phenomenon. It's who you are in terms of how you've done your life to practice to build the character to do the expression, because your future actually unfolds from who you are from the inside out.
Yeah. And on day one of any role, we are passionate. We share this. I know that is day one of any role that you have, you should already be looking for your replacement to that role.
Bingo.
And you should assess the landscape like a cheetah in a savanna, assessing what's out there and empowering and looking for the ones that maybe don't have the voice. And guess what? You get to turn into a sponsor. You
That's
get to be a
exactly
fan.
right. You get to practice leadership. You get to be a coach. You get to be using all of the things that all of your life has made you successful up to here, all comes together and it's going to come out.
Yeah, so that's why I push back on those that want the title. I get it in some organizations, big global organizations, especially like in the chemical industry, title matters. Even culturally, sometimes title matters. So people focus on that. No, for me, it's garner the capability skill sets to drive the bottom line and have higher lows and higher highs. And in order to do that, the way I believe is the most efficient and the right way to do it is bringing people along and knowing that it may only be 10% of those people. And I'm okay with that now. I'm okay with that. At first, I struggled. I wanted everybody to come because I'm a team player. Guess what? You cannot make someone ready when they are not ready. Just because
Well, this is exactly right. You know, you're talking about something, I call it amplitude, where you've got the higher highs and the lower lows. The greater your amplitude, the greater your ability to lead.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, it's, hey, if you're new at the table, right? Or even if you're just in the room and you're serving water, you're in the room. That's huge, right?
You're in the room.
You're in the room. Get in the room first. Find the sponsor, find the champion on your behalf. And guess what? If you focus on one or two champions on your behalf, I guarantee the gap to get into the room is going to be a lot shorter than if you're canvassing 10 different people. Just because you think your name's out there, you need a sponsor goes above and beyond to get your name in every aspect and opportunity set that presents itself within their.
I can't tell you how important that is. That is a critical, critical, critical piece.
Yeah. And you better be ready. You better stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Because when the opportunity presents itself, I don't care how scared you are. That's where you manage your reactivity and your response. The interactivity when you're in front of 5 executives may be super heightened if you're an introvert versus when you're hanging with your friends and people think you're an extrovert, right? You've got to be
Right.
know how you react. You may get hives. Like I go around to different schools and I talk about this. I'm like, look, start using your triggers as in the zone, like game day, right? So if you are scared to public speak, but yet everyone loves what you bring to the table and you have very good thoughts that they want to hear, they genuinely want to hear. When you start feeling the red going up, when you start feeling flush, when you start feeling the hives, when you feel like your voice is shaking, your hands are shaking, you're in the zone. You know
You're
you're
there.
exactly where you need.
That's right. That's right.
Don't
That's
fight
where
it.
you want to be operating from.
Yeah, because if you fight it, right, then all your focused attention and energy is spent on focusing on that. It's like a pilot, right? Or if you're skiing, saying, I don't want to hit a tree, I don't want to hit a tree, I don't want to hit a tree, what are you going to do?
You're going to hit a tree.
You're going to hit a tree, right? So for me, mindset matters, words matter, surrounding yourself with levelers matter, getting champions and sponsors. They're different than mentors.
Yep.
Very different. And be a little bit candor with yourself, because guess what? If you're really a level 4, but you've moved to a level 2, you should start asking what the heck's going on and why, and start tapping into your resources.
You want to stay conscious at level 2. The thing about stage 2 is that generally speaking, people go unconscious and they start feeling sorry for themselves and they start assigning the blame and talking and really doing ineffective and undermining kind of conversations. But if you stay awake, if you stay conscious, you're going to look around and you're going to see, you know what, there are a couple of other people here that I could see at stage 2 that are dying to partner up and move back up to stage 4. And that's how you get back to stage 4 is you form triads.
And I want to leave today, because we're kind of nearing the end here, a quote that I live by, and I think you'll actually get a kick out of it. It may make for a second, but procrastination is the art of keeping up with yesterday.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you one that is, this is about, the question is, what are you accountable for in your relationship with people? Here's what you're accountable for. How people are left after you're gone.
Oh, that's a good one. I think you just went
Yeah.
up to me. You just went up to me. I'm okay with it though. That one's a good
No,
one. You're
no,
right.
no. It's just no. It kind of goes with the whole conversation that we've been having.
Yeah, you're right. And we have this out here, so don't do tomorrow what you can do today. Right?
Uh-huh.
Let's just not be obsessed with what we did yesterday. That should be the starting point for today. And
Holy mackerel, yeah.
just have fun with it, man. Like, just start loving failing. And once you start doing that, I'm gonna tell you, your life's gonna change and you're gonna take some jumps and leaps that are gonna feel so scary. They're gonna feel overwhelming. And you're gonna start getting into rooms that you didn't even ask to be in, but are the most influential ones.
Exactly. Play the game, learn the rules, correct.
Yeah. And then get to a point where you become the top 5% that makes the rules.
That makes the rules. Yes. Play the game, make the rules.
So, as ever, you are the best. And I think
You're the best.
we're probably
You're the best.
we're going to get questions on this, so we'll probably have to dig more into the concepts, which I think.
Oh, that'd be too bad. That'd be, oh, geez, another excuse for us to get together and talk. Okay.
No, but no, as ever, everything you do, I'm inspired by you, and I look forward to more of these types of dialogues and bringing others in.
Well, thank you. You know, I have to say this is always a highlight of my week, and I really, really appreciate and love you. Keep on keeping on, kiddo.
You know it. All in, lean in every single day.
All in, lean
Every way.
in.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.